everybody, it's Tony Hull. How are you doing? Yesterday I didn't have a chance to come on and go on to our next Reimagine Challenge component. So here we are. So it is Saturday, and wanted to continue on exploring this because, guys, I feel like this whole thing we're going through, okay, we need to take something out of it, and it has to teach us something, right? Maybe multiple things. So I feel it's causing people to look at education differently. It's causing people to look at what we do differently and what's truly important in our lives and in the lives of our kids. So that is good, right? That's why I'm calling this the Reimagine School Challenge. This is the time. This is the time for us to think about what we're doing and how we can do it better, how we can do it differently. What is most important? Because in education, we have so much going on. But what is the impact of those things that we do? So, and I'm challenging myself as well, because we get caught up in what we do in the day-to-day. But right now, we've hit a pause, stop. And so instead of focusing on all the negative, of course, take care of yourself, eat right, wash your hands, do all of that, stay healthy. But let's also take the time to not put pressure on ourselves, but just to reflect. You know, it's a reflection time, and how can we reimagine school so that it truly focuses on the most important things. And you know what? That's something we have to work out together as educators. What are those truly important things? And so this is just some talking points that thought to get you thinking about my thoughts of what reimagining school's about. And so there are so many other things and so many great influencers out there that talk about reimagining school. And one of them is, I have this sticker right here, Be the Revolution. That's from the Ron Clark Academy. They are the revolution of how we can all be the revolution of, look at the things that teachers are doing right now without being asked. Holy cow. They are being creative. They are being passionate. They are connecting with kids even though they're not in the same location. It doesn't mean we don't do that on a regular basis, but let's do it even better, right? Let's do it better. And so here we are. So let me just recap, okay, where we've been on the Reimagine School Challenge. And I really want to know your thoughts, guys. This is going to be a team effort. I really want to get a team together that we can figure this out together. What do we need to do to reimagine school for our kids here in New Mexico? But for those of you across the country, how do we do it for the nation? Because we have to do something different, guys. And it's not that my school's doing it right or your school's doing it right, but we're all doing some things right. How do we come together and really talk about what could be done? All right. So we started with Reimagine Relationships. Then we moved on to, and all of these videos are available if you want to check them out. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Reimagine Environment, Reimagine Instruction, and Reimagine Messages. So today, I want us to focus on reimagining audience. When you think, okay, so audience. Most of the time in school, the audience is the teacher. Every once in a while, it's other people in the school that we bring in to show projects or assignments and things like that. So there are two parts of this, really, reimagining the audience. One, teaching using audience to ramp up the relevance of the lesson, or whatever it is the kids are learning. And then two, we also have to teach kids how to be a good audience member, because it's not just about presenting to an audience, but it's like, how can then you be a good audience member? Because that is important too. We learn by being in the audience as well. We all go to conferences, we listen to lectures, things like that. So how do we become a good audience member, but also how do we teach our kids to become good audience members? And how do we teach them also how to talk to different audiences? It's not just about the teacher. So there's so much power in audience. There's a lot of research out there. I will share some links as for this little video series I'm doing. I'll share some links that go along with it, because I want you to know it's not just me talking about it. It's just these are the things that I feel like over 27 years I found what works with kids and how to ramp up things. And it's because of what other people have done, and we've all come together to really make this work. So right now, this is a pivotal time. Again, like I said, this is a pivotal time for education. Teachers are out there making videos. Some people have their own channel. I mean, teachers are dressing up. They're having fun. It's such an interesting thing. So video expands our audience, right? So we also have to think about how students are the audience, and that's powerful. And I don't think we use students as the audience enough. Like, even if a kid does a project and they present, is that audience actively a part of the learning? Or are they just listening? Which is part, but are they actively giving feedback then? I mean, we have a teacher at MVLA who does that masterfully, where the kids give constructive feedback in a respectful way. So a lot of research has been done on this, and one of the number one that I go to, my go-to for the use of audience, is the International Center, Dr. Daggett's International Center. If you want to check it out, leadered.com. And they have something called the Rigor Relevance Framework. And it's like 4 quadrants, okay? It looks like this. And I'm going to draw it because I have it in my notebook, but it's just way too small. And I know it's going to look weird on the camera, but we'll see. So this is what it looks like, okay? So A, B, C, and D. Here, these are the quadrants, okay? And on one side, you have the increasing level of rigor. Okay, the increasing level of rigor on the one side. So that's Bloom's taxonomy, right? That's what we know as educators as Bloom's taxonomy. So, all the way up to the creation, when kids create, the highest level of Bloom's, okay, the new Bloom's, okay? Now, that's all well and good. We love that. That's great. But the interesting work that he did with this is that this axis right here is the relevance. So, the relevance. And you know what? When I started teaching 27 years ago, I don't think I focused much on that. I'm like, this is science. Take your notes. Let's get it done, right? Let's get it done. It's science. So, and you got to know the parts of the cell, and you got to know these different facts and standards, which is all great. I was teaching here, right? The A quadrant is all about science and science class. And I'm not going to go over this whole thing. I mean, we could talk about that for days. But right now, I'm just going to kind of focus on where it fits with the audience. Because remember, that's what we're talking about. Reimagining our audience. How do we use audience and leverage it for kids learning? Okay, here we go. So this is science and science class. You present to Dr. Hall. Great, wonderful, awesome. That's what it is. Now, if we increase the rigor, because remember, this is Bloom's right here, right? We increase the rigor. We're in science class. We're science and science class. But now, man, you're creating your own analogy between a cell and something else, and you're going to show me how each part of the cell relates to the something else. Maybe you want to do an analogy between a cell and a school, and then tell me what you know. So you're creating something up here, right? And that might not be the best example, but that's one of them. So this is still science and science class, math and math class, social studies and social studies class on different levels of rigor, right? This is where it gets fun, and this is where the audience is leveraged, okay? Down here. So it starts off with, you know that you're you are, presenting to the teacher, maybe to your classmates, science and science class, right? But then, as you move along this line down here, this continuum, you are now looking at predictable and unpredictable audiences and events. So the further out you get on this relevance line, it's more unpredictable to the student. The best way to make projects or assignments or activities you do in class more unpredictable, because when you give a worksheet, it's predictable. We know the answers, right? Which is nothing wrong with that. Quad A needs to be done too. But how do you get to what we call Quad D? Or what Dr. Daggett calls Quad D. We call it that too at MVLA because we always talk about Quad D. So the kids even know. If you ask them what Quad D means, they know Quad D. They can't explain all of this, but they know Quad D. That Quad D means that they are doing a project that is the highest level of rigor and the highest level of relevance, where they are presenting to an unpredictable audience. Because as the kids get to know you, you're predictable. As much as we don't want to be, they know us. They know how we're going to respond most likely when they're doing their project. So we have to leverage audiences. We have to bring in parents. We have to bring in community members. Like we do a Shark Tank and we always have community judges. We just finished our amazing shake competition and we had all the judges were from the community. Because we're predictable and we know them. And so they need to see audiences that are unpredictable, that they don't know. And I know it's scary. And I know that they sometimes get really, really nervous. But you know what? The more they do that, the better they're going to get at it, just like anything else. And now we have kids at MVLA that have been doing this for 3 years, and they go up to people, and it sometimes still surprises me. Like a parent might be in the office and they come in for something else. The student comes in and they go right up to them and say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. What's your name? And how are you doing? Welcome to MVLA." And I just think, whoa. So like that still kind of blows my mind, because I remember when I was their age and I would never do that. Never. So how can we leverage audience to increase relevance in projects? And if you want to know more about the Rigor Relevance Framework, I would love to chat with you about it, because it's something I'm so excited about. I learned about it when I was in Deming, working as an instructional specialist, and we went to they do a conference every year at the International Center, puts on a conference, Model Schools Conference. Amazing. I hope to be, that's one of my goals, is to present there someday. Anyway, because I feel like we're not there yet, but we're going to be there. In-person audiences. But this whole coronavirus situation, now that might not be as easily done when we get back to school, whenever we get back. How do we leverage a virtual audience? I've been using Zoom. Thanks Zoom for giving us educators the chance to use Zoom with our schools. But you don't have to give up the audience. You don't have to give up the audience. Use a virtual audience. Kids need to see a variety of audiences, because you know what? Especially at a small school like mine, where we have like 10 staff members, they need to see other people. We're great and everything. That's awesome. But after a while, we need to see other people just as we do as adults. That's why we go out and try to get learning from other places. So kids need to see themselves in the people that are teaching them, whether it be, their teachers or other staff members or people that come and present. It's different perspectives. It's different cultures. They need to see a variety of that. So leverage audiences when you are thinking about school events. How can you bring in parents, bring in siblings, bring in families, bring in your kids to other classrooms? How can you do that? And we always talk about parents coming in and being part of the dance or helping out with this bake sale or whatever it is. But what about having them be part of instruction? That's what we want. We want them to be part of instruction. And leveraging audiences really, really helps. So we want to reach that highest level of rigor and relevance on the Rigor and Relevance Framework, right? where they're in that quad D, which is high level of rigor, high level of relevance, and it's like real world application, right? All right, so that's for schools. And there's a lot of side effects of this that are great. It increases your community connections, right? Throughout the year. Those people become part of your school. They actually call us and say, when you're doing Shark Tank, don't forget me, kind of thing. And then that builds those community bonds and exposes kids to a lot of different audiences and also a lot of different careers. You bring in those community members, they talk about the careers that they're in. It's like having a career day every time you do something like a project. So it's pretty cool. So how can you apply this in your life? Because, yes, we talk about the school thing and it's really important. And as educators, how can we reimagine school? Leverage audiences, right? Reimagine audiences and how you use them. All right. How can we use it in our life? Reimagine your audience. For me, I really want to connect with educators that really want to think differently about school. And so I'm leveraging video to do that, like talking to you guys. And so please email me or just put a comment and I'll get in touch with you, because I want to create a Reimagine School group where we are talking more in depth about these things. We're just touching on some components, but we can go so deep in these things, and I want to know what you're doing to reimagine audiences. But in life, who is your audience? Well, your family, right? Are there some people that are in your audience that you don't want in the audience? That's something to think about too. How do you remove those people from your audience? Because sometimes we have people in our audience that are detrimental to us. And it's hard. But we have to think about how can you take them out of your audience where, you're not focusing on their opinion, but you're focusing on the opinion of your true audience that's going to support you, but also give you that critical feedback like my staff does. But you don't want people in your audience that are not going to be supportive. If they're just spewing out negativity, that's not what you want. So who else do you want to add to your audience? How can you reach out to add people to your audience? And I think we use the term audience and we think like, oh, it's about like, I want to have 1 million followers. You don't. It's not about that. I want to connect with people and that have similar beliefs that I do, and how we can make them actionable and change what we're doing in schools, because we all need to change and evolve, right? And the more we can know what everyone's doing and come together, then that's when truly we'll see a shift in what education can be. We need to reimagine it so that it can be what our kids need now. And what about your life? How can you shift your audience to make your life what you want it to be and to achieve the goals that you have in your life? Which sometimes, it involves kicking some people out of the audience because sometimes people just come into your audience and you don't want them there. And so that's a hard thing to do. That's something to think about. And also, how can you get out of your comfort zone and go get your audience? Sometimes you have to reach out to other people and make those connections first and network. So, Reimagine Audience. Thank you guys for being my audience. I appreciate you so much. If you're interested in being a part of my Reimagine School group, please put your email or message me, and let's do this, guys. This is a pivotal time in education where we're all thinking, parents, students, teachers, we're thinking about what does education look like and what is the purpose of it? Because, we just got rid of the test requirement for the nation. And so what does that mean? I think it means some cool things could happen from that, right? But let's talk about it. What could it mean? What does this mean for us? If when we go back to school this year, next year, what does it mean? And what is truly the most important thing? So reimagine your audience. And thank you again for watching, and have a great day. Be healthy, wash your hands, and we'll talk to you very, very soon with our next Reimagine component. Thanks for watching.